Good morning and welcome to this week's IGTV. Today I'm talking about why do I have to ask you 100 times or more? I ask you to do a simple task and it's still not done. The frustration of parents who message me on the daily about this is a lot and absolutely fair. So if you're struggling with getting your teen to do simple things that you asked and it's not working for you, or you know someone who's really struggling with this and maybe even have judged their teenager as lazy or irresponsible, maybe send this to them as soon as I am finished and posting it. Okay, I'm gonna make this short and sweet today. I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm not gonna be on here for a really long time. And I've got some notes here because I wanna make sure I give you these specific tips. Okay. My name is Allie Payne. I am a certified life coach, certified relationship systems coach. I have been empowering parents of tweens, teens, and young adults for 18 years now to end the painful disconnection and the baffling blow-ups, stressful silences, to build relationships based on mutual trust, respect, and connection. I was a very troubled teen. If you can imagine it, I did it. If your teen is doing it, I probably did it too. Bless my parents. I also have ADHD, and I've raised two now adult children who are some of the most incredible people I have the privilege of knowing, actually. And they have avoided many of the pitfalls that I did. And here are some of the things that I use with them. I use this with them since they were little. I use this with them. And this is some of the detail that I'm going to share in my upcoming 5 days to a better relationship with your teen. Now, it starts on April 29th, okay? I'm going to go into detail in that 5 days and giving you my 5 top proven tips. And I'm going to cover some of those like right now. It's exclusive content, though. You're only going to find in the 5-day challenge. I know it's hard enough right now just to freaking pay your mortgage or rent, gas, and put food on the table, okay? So this program is $25. 5 days to a better relationship with your teen. It's $25. I want to reach as many people as possible. Amazing caring and parent. Oh my goodness, Allie. Amazing, loving, and caring parents like yourself who are struggling now that your teenager seemed to apparently changed overnight, like a light switch, and now all of a sudden they're self-centered, moody, defiant, phone addicted, lazy, irresponsible, won't help around the house, and you about had it. I see you, okay? So this is, I want you to listen to this because I'm going to cover these tips. Now, in the 5-day challenge, I'm going to go in more depth about that. The content in my 5-day challenge you won't find anywhere else on social media. It's exclusive to that program. Again, it starts on April 29th. If you want to get in there, I'll tell you, you can either, when I have this posted, you can post challenge under the video and I'll get you the link because I'm posting also 10 days of pre-launch content, bonus content that starts tomorrow. So you're going to want to get in that. Okay. So I had this conversation with a mom last Thursday, and that's why I actually wanted to do this today. Oh my goodness. Now here's the irony. This mom, she was having a session with me, okay? And so she said, watch, I'll show you what happens. I'll show you what happens. She put her phone, we were on a Zoom call. She put her phone kind of like down by her side, and she went and asked her teen daughter to go and walk the dog. And she's like, I'm going to show you why this isn't working. I'm going to show you why I'm so frustrated. I'm going to show you why I'm so fed up with asking nicely 100 times and it's not working. Well, sure enough, she takes her phone beside her so I could hear what she was saying. And then I heard her teenager's response, which was a little defensive, little bit defiant, not super like, yeah, I'd love to go do that, of course. And then she went back into her room and closed the door, and we kind of unpacked the whole thing. And this, gosh, I wish somebody had told all of us this sooner. So first of all, your teenager is not a defiant, self-absorbed, moody poop head. They kind of are, but it's not like they're not doing it on purpose against you. Their brain is fundamentally changing. I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole other video. So the way that you parent needs to change and adapt to their massively growing, renovating brain. It's one of the largest brain growth and development phases in our lifetime. It's the second and final. The first is as a toddler. So as a toddler, they're learning to like human, but as a teen, they're learning to adult. So it's a very, very complex process. Your teenager's not all of a sudden a bad apple, broken, you haven't failed, like blah. Let's just move all that off the table, okay? Cool? Okay, cool. So here is how she was, these are some of the key words. So here's some of the key words she was using, okay? To ask her daughter to walk the dog. Now this, when she had me on the Zoom call, she was asking for the second time. This is the second time. Oh, thank you, AI, for your celebratory. Thank you. She was asking her daughter for the second time, okay? The words, the first words in the sentence, the request, okay? The request that she said was, I need you to walk the dog, please. I need you to walk the dog before dinner. Now, I want you to type yes in the comments if you have heard yourself using I need in a request to your teenager. Just let's all out ourselves, shall we? I need will never work. I get that you need them to take out the trash. You need them to do their homework. You need them to not fail. You need them to walk the dog. I get that. Any request that begins with I need is not going to work. And here is why. And she wasn't being rude. This mama was not being rude to her teenager, okay? I heard what she said. She was not being rude. Her teenager was a little bit snappy in response, but this is why. I need communicates an expectation that is something you want done, okay? And it's all about you. I need. It's about you. It expresses that this task is not about them in any way. It's not about empowering them to be part of contributing to the household or contributing to their environment. Now, you're like, well, that's nice, Allie, but I'm not there to like coddle my kid so they can figure this stuff out. I'm there to tell them like they need to understand what to do. Yeah, I got that. Here's the thing. This is the part where the teen brain is changing and you need to really like get on board with this, with your language and your parenting, so that all of your amazing loving intention actually gets the results that you want and a really deeply connected relationship at the end of all of it, okay? So teenagers will push back against anything that does not feel like agency. So agency is where they are at choice, okay? That like they're in charge of their own destiny, you know, like the whole Mark Twain, the captain of their soul, right? Because they're not a child anymore and they're not an adult, but they have this massive need to be the boss of themselves, similar to a toddler, right? Except now they have enough maturity to take that to another level. So I need you to walk the dog before dinner has nothing to do with them. All you're doing is expressing your need, and what you're doing is projecting your level of urgency on them about something that's important to you. First thing a teenager is going to do is be like, okay, well, if you need it done, you go do it. Fill your boots, Mom. Go walk the dog. I'm not saying that's super awesome. It's a bit of a spicy response, but that's the kind of stuff you get, because what they are constantly pushing back against is being treated like a child. So they have enough executive function. They're not stupid. They have enough executive function to have their own loose, not yours, loose priorities of time, of what is beginning to be important to them, that of course as a teenager is not as what's important to you, of course. So I need is like saying, this is super important to me, and even though I could go do it, like, of course you could. I mean, maybe you need to make dinner, maybe you need to drive your other kid to an activity, maybe you aren't finished work yet, maybe, I don't know, whatever. But you're saying like, it's something I could do on my own, but now it's like getting more urgent for me and I'm asking you to go do it. That's not unfair. But your teenager's gonna go, So using I need at the beginning of any request for your teen will not work, okay? If you want them to ask you nicely with respect and not be demanding of your time, like, I need this done now, like teenagers do, right? Now, Mom. I've heard that one too. Then you need to model the same level of respect that they are becoming an autonomous human being with their own needs, their own beliefs, and their own version of prioritization, whether you agree with it or not. So start with please. Start with please. Or you could finish the request with please. But anything that says I need is a projection of something that is urgent to you that you're asking for them to make urgent and important to them, which is not going to work. Now, here's the other side of this, is that I need is also communicating a should. So a should is an inference of that same thing. Shouldn't you be walking the dog by now? Shouldn't you have left by now? Because if she wanted it done by dinner and we know the dog has to like be walked, we think that's like 15 minutes, maybe 15 on a good day, I don't know. Should is an inference of an expectation, which is saying that I am asking you to make valuable, urgent, or important something that is valuable or urgent and important to me. And if you don't, there's like a level of disconnect and disappointment, actually, that you're not making what's important and urgent to me important to you. That's an expectation. And teenagers, woo, you will never see pushback more on their need for autonomy and for agency than if you should all over them, which is the same as I need, okay? So here's another way that requests won't work, is if you say, and this is subtle, but this actually came from, oh boy, I already lost the name of the author. Sorry, you guys. Mars and Venus. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Somebody help me with the name of the author. Sorry, I can't remember right now. Anyway, I've noticed this. I'm a boy mom. I got two adult children. Thank you, AI. And men, but this also, I find this for teenagers because teenagers are so hyper, their brains are naturally very emotionally hypersensitive. Because of the function of their brain development and their amygdala increasing in capacity of emotional experience in the world 4.5 times. 4.5 times is their emotional experience is increasing during the adolescent years. But their executive function, the hardware, thank you, John Gray. Thank you, Monique. Their executive function, which is the filter, the brakes, the tempering of all of that, that doesn't form actually until after, like later on. So they're hypersensitive, which means you can like breathe and they're like, oh, how could you? You know, like they're super reactive. You could say good morning and they're like, you're so mean. They have filters on what they hear that are not always in alignment with your experience. Let's just say that, okay? It's still their experience. It's real for them, okay? So when you make a request and you're starting it with can or could, like can you walk the dog? Could you please go walk the dog? Can or could refers to physical ability. Now, this is more wiring for the male brain, but I do find this shows up with teens because if they're like, well, yeah, I can, but I don't want to. Because can is referring to physical ability, not autonomy and agency, which are the two, they want that so freaking bad. So when you say, can you go walk the dog, please? Even if you say please. Or, can you go walk the dog now? This is the second time I've asked, right? It's that tone of voice. It's that can and could. I recommend shifting those to will and would. Will you walk the dog infers to choice. Will you is agency, empowerment, choice. That's what they want more than anything. So I noticed, now again, I'm a boy mom, I noticed that, but I noticed this with teens across the board. When you're willing to phrase a request and start it with either please, sorry, there's no pause in a live, sorry. Getting over a really bad cold. When you're willing to phrase a request that either starts with please or ends with please, and you're using will or would instead of can or could, you're appealing to your teen's need for autonomy, so they're more likely to do it, okay? Now, this mama had asked twice. And so when we debriefed this, and I said, okay, so why, and she said, this is the second time I've asked. I'm like, okay, well, did you ask, the first time, did you ask in the same way? I need you to walk the dog. She's like, yeah. And just a normal tone of voice, I need you to walk the dog before dinner. Maybe she even said please at the end. I don't know. I need you to walk the dog before dinner. Nothing, whatever. Now, when she went it the second time, when I was on the Zoom with her, it was a little bit more directed. I need you to walk the dog, please. Because now, when you ask more than once, you are nagging and reminding. And you want to push back against your teen's autonomy and agency about being the boss. Oh, for heaven's sakes, thank you, AI. About being the boss of their own time. Try nagging and reminding. Psychologically, do you know it's proven that the more you nag and remind, the more defiance you will get? Truth. Proven like in 1960s. Yeah, in a leadership study, that the more you nag and remind, the more resistance that you get because of our brains, even adult brains, need for autonomy, choice, free will, and autonomy. Okay? So then you're like, okay, well, I've asked it 100 times, this still isn't working. Okay, well, again, this is what I'm covering in my 5-day challenge. But here's the thing, is that now you're into this nagging and reminding cycle, which I'm also covering this on day 2 in the 5-day challenge, is now you're in one of these negative, frustrating, exhausting cycles that ends up in a couple different ways. Maybe you asking and they don't do it, okay? So I guarantee you are exhausted, you are frustrated, so frustrated, and resentful. Totally fair. Of course you are. Why wouldn't you be, right? And then this cycle continues. So then you ask them the next day, and then it doesn't. It's so your resentment is building, okay? You either end up doing the task yourself. Does that sound familiar? Is that you ask 100 times and you've asked nicely, and they're not doing it or pushing back against it. So then you either do it yourself. Whoa, you want epitome of resentment? I'll just go do it myself. Or now you're in like an escalated argument, right? So now you're in like a pissing match because now you have a power struggle. Teenagers can turn anything to a power struggle. And unfortunately, because we parents don't understand the dynamics of this, we feed into it. So now you got a power struggle going just about walking the freaking dog. They will push back and push back and push back because they are the boss of them. This is all about language. I promise you, this is all about language. So now you got a power struggle going, okay? So your anger level is even rising beyond that. Now, third stage, maybe you have consequences. Maybe you took their phone. Maybe you grounded them. Maybe you're not doing maybe there's some form of discipline going on because they're not doing what you asked and you've asked 100 freaking times. Okay? So that now you're at that level. Now, that's the level that you're aware of. Here's a funky little part of the emotional dynamic that you might not be aware of that's going on. Is when you hit resentment, you will almost always go to, because your boundaries are being stepped on, you're feeling disrespected. Absolutely. And that is, yes, I'm agreeing with your experience, 100%, feeling disrespected. But now you're feeling resentment, so now you're going to go to revenge. And revenge is sweet. It's micro. It's in your tone. Revenge might even look like extreme consequence, right? Or discipline, whatever. This is normal, by the way. This doesn't make you a bad parent. It makes you human. But revenge looks like micro, little like verbals, little body languages, little things like that. Retaliation. Oh yeah? You're not going to help me? Then I'm not going to help you. So you can retaliate. Then maybe you become resigned to it. And now you've disconnected from the relationship because you're so sick and tired of asking. And you're like feeling defeated. You don't know how to get your kid to like care about a freaking thing because they're just refusing to do everything. And this cycle just keeps, and then your resentment keeps building, and then you like it's a vicious cycle. It's actually called the vicious cycle. And this all starts with understanding the language of how to access your teenager's brain in the way they need to hear your request or not. That's it. And I'm going to go into this in detail in my 5-day challenge, which the registration is open now. Once I get this posted, you can either type challenge below. You can go to my website, alliepayne.com, under work with me. There's a 5-day challenge. There's a big pink banner at the top. You can hit that. There's a link in my bio. You will find the 5-day challenge everywhere. And if you can't, just put challenge below this once I get it posted. Okay, so what does work? You're like, well, that's nice, Allie. Thanks for telling us. What I want you to know is in the 5-day challenge, I'm going to reverse engineer this for you. Okay? I'm going to reverse engineer it with exact word for word scripts and language. So you're empowered. And it's not complicated. Like I'm giving you like every day an actual little thing over 5 days, okay? We're going to reverse engineer the request. So you're empowered to get more of what you want from them with way less effort. And you can like have calmer conversations, feel a lot more confident because you're already an amazing parent. Feel confident that your teenager is not a bad apple, defiant, lazy, unmotivated, irresponsible, whatever other labels. They actually aren't that because now you have the secrets to access what their brain needs to hear. So day 2 in the 5-day challenge, I'm going to cover these negative cycles, that resentment revenge cycle, and actually the most simplest way how to undo it and stop it. So give you other options before it gets started so that doesn't go on and build more disconnection in your relationship. Day 3, I'm going to cover these requests. Now, again, either start your request with please or will and would, okay? Your request needs to be super, super short, brief. Be brief, okay? Do not make it long and voluminous. Teenagers are going to tune you out. Make it one sentence. Dr. Brené Brown says, clear is kind. Make your request clear. So this is why the walking the dog thing, I need you to walk the dog. This is exactly why the teen brain does not hear that, nor do they freaking care. Number 1, start with I need instead of please, will, or would, okay? Number 2, what does walk the dog even mean? Because I guarantee you, for you, you probably think it means like a 15-minute walk. For your teenager, it means go outside just long enough for that dog to do a number 1 and a number 2 and get back inside. Tops 10 minutes. 5, actually. Maybe 2. So clear is kind. When you say walk the dog, like what? For 15 minutes? Go to the corner store and back? Go to the stop sign and back? Walk around the block? You don't tell your teen where to go. Or how to walk the dog. But you need to express what is walking, like, please walk the dog for at least 10 minutes. The dog needs to be outside for at least 10 minutes walking. Take a ball, play with them if you want, walk if you want, put on your headphones, listen to music. I don't care. Whatever works. You are not going to tell them exactly how to walk the dog, but you are sharing with them like what you mean. Like, you're not just taking them out into the yard to do their business. You mean walk the dog. So be clear about that. Clear as kind, okay? She wanted it done by dinner. She didn't say when dinner was. Now, teenagers really, really struggle with time. They're all kind of time blind. And then if ADHD happens, it's even more, they don't have, that part of their executive function, time, that kind of prioritization, time management is just not there, nor is it ever going to be what you want. They're not going to hold what you want. No, they have their own. So if dinner is at 6, then you can say, I'm going to have dinner, we're going to eat at 6. So you can manage whatever you need this afternoon. Sorry. Now, her daughter was actually doing a craft. Amazing. Like, this 15-year-old, nearly 16-year-old daughter was doing a craft. She was into painting rocks, those decorative. She was doing something super constructive, something good for your mental health. It didn't have to do with technology. She was just doing it on her own. She was super into it. Her mom didn't acknowledge what she was doing. No, hey, tell me about these rocks. Like, that's awesome. I love what you're doing there. So there was no acknowledgement. So it sounds like criticism and judgment when her daughter's not prioritizing what her mom wants, yet her mom actually does want her to do more of the painting rocks because it's healthy, it's good for her mental health, it's very constructive, it's creative, it's all kinds of good things. But she didn't acknowledge any of that. So you got to acknowledge, like, some of this stuff too. You got to acknowledge the good, okay? Now, so there's the time thing. Her mom didn't say when dinner was to give her daughter an idea, like, and then support her daughter to create her own time management, right? Like, okay, you might need to head out by, like, you probably need to head out by 5:30. I'll let you handle however that works. Because you see, you're not micromanaging. That's another reason requests don't work. Because you're not micromanaging. You're not saying, well, I'll set a timer for you to leave by 5:30, or I'm going to keep asking you until 5:30, and then I'm going to get mad because you haven't left yet. Teenagers want autonomy and agency. And that's why requests don't work with them. Because you're asking them as a child. Their brain is not a child. And their brain is also not an adult. We know this. So it's your language that is going to set them up to hearing you, doing the request that you've asked, more likely in the first time. And they're not going to be perfect. Because as you give them the autonomy and agency that they so desperately want, they are going to get it wrong at first. Does that mean you go back to nagging and reminding? No. It means, which I'm talking about this in the 5-day challenge, but what if they don't do it? I'm going to unpack boundaries, consequences, my proven scripts that work with their brain, so you can get all of this. All of this. That's day 4. It's a big day. Boundaries and consequences. Because I'm guaranteeing you what you thought was a boundary and what I was raised to believe a boundary is not even close to a boundary. And that's why they're not working. And when you know what a boundary is and actually what it is, and then the actual language to pierce your teenager's cone of focus, you need less consequences because you're building mutual respect, which is what you want in the first place. Thank you, AI. So that's what I'm talking about starting April 29th with my 5-day challenge. I hope this has been helpful. So we're not going to start requests with I need. We're not going to use, this is the other one. You're not going to use but. Take but out of your language. I see that you're doing this thing, but I need you to walk the dog. But I already asked you to walk the dog. But is a negator. Just remove it from your language. But essentially says, everything I said before the word but was complete fluff. I don't believe any of it. I was just saying it to try and be nice or like placate you, but I actually don't mean any of it. And everything I said after the word but is what I actually wanted to say anyway. So I'm just trying to fluff you up with like pretend fake inauthentic talk so that you'll hear what I actually wanted to say. Don't do that. Stop it. Literally remove but from your language. Literally. You don't want to know what you change it with? And, hey, I see that you're super involved in that amazing thing. Awesome. And, will you please walk the dog before dinner? And then you support your teenager to create their own time management structure. You don't do it for them because this supports their autonomy and their need for agency. So if this is like super frustrating for you and you're sick and tired of asking 1,000 times, and now you're in that vicious cycle of like resentment, revenge, retaliation, resignation, you're just doing it yourself, escalated arguments, discipline, etc. Join me in the 5-day challenge, April 29th. It's open right now. And again, starting tomorrow, there's going to be 10 days of bonus content that is put in a private group. So you get 10 days before it ever starts. And again, I know it's hard enough to buy food right now. This challenge is $25. So type challenge below this once I get this posted, or you can tap my name, the link in my bio, or you can go to my website, alypain.com, alypain.com. There's a big pink banner right at the top. That'll get you in there quick. And I will see you there very soon. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next Thursday talking about all things parenting teens. Bye.